Hey everyone, I'm Bluey, and my first Kingdom Hearts game was Dream Drop Distance. Please help me. Kingdom Hearts started off as a way for Square Enix to compete with Mario 64 with Disney and Final Fantasy characters in one big crossover game that the whole family can enjoy. And then the original story got really emo, and complicated, and time travel, and was spread off against multiple games, with multiple systems, with multiple gameplay styles. Point is, the franchise is really complicated, as the internet probably already told you. Unless this is your first video on the internet, in that case, I'm really sorry. Well, Kingdom Hearts 3 has got me in a Kingdom Hearts mood, so let's take a look back at the franchise, back when everything was simple and clean. I am not sorry for that pun. Cheesy puns aside, before we head into the game, let me clarify my stance on the Kingdom Hearts series. I'm a casual fan who enjoys the characters and gameplay, with the story being something I'm on and off again, mostly from a consumer's point of view of you having to buy like all these games to understand one game, which I really don't like. So, with all the pre-rambling out of the way, Kingdom Hearts 1. Let's play it. Also, warning, I'm not going to summarize the entire story. I might leave a few details out. So just saying, if you said, oh, you forgot this thing, well, I warned you. We open with a copyrighted music video by Utada Hikaru called Simple and Clean, which is a nice tune, and the animation during it is really good, except the things going on doesn't really relate to the story much. It's just kind of nonsensical imagery for the sake of nonsensical imagery. Heck, there's barely any Disney stuff in it, so how are you supposed to get hooked on the Disney aspect of the game? In the tutorial section, we get to pick what to specialize in, strength, magic, or shield, which does affect how soon you get certain skills in the game, so pick one that will work best with your playstyle, except magic, never pick magic. We fight some shadow creatures and wake up on our home of Destiny Islands. So that was an okay tutorial, with a bit trippy and nonsensical, so let's get introduced to our cast of original characters made for the game. We have the main character we control, Sora, innocent boy number 131313, Kairi, the girl who needs constant saving, and Riku, Square Enix Edge Boy number Infinity plus 7. They live on Destiny Islands, which makes up the next 40 minutes of tedious gameplay, doing fetch quests while fighting kitty versions of Final Fantasy characters like Waka.
Here I am, Fuzzy Bear, to tell you jokes both old and rare. Waka waka waka. Ah!
I will say that as much as I don't like the fetch quests, they do serve a story purpose. That being that Sora, Riku, and Kairi are building a raft to go off the Destiny Islands and explore other worlds. The night before the trio of anime kids leave the island, dark creatures known as the Heartless attack the island and Riku gets extra emo. When you try to save him from drifting into some black goo, he disappears, but you get a weapon, known as the Keyblade. A silly concept, yes, but the Keyblades you get throughout the game look really cool, so I don't mind. We use the weapon to fight off the Heartless, but it's too late, as Destiny Islands is the Darkness's lunch. Quite a hefty lunch if I do say so myself. Sora ends up in Traverse Town, where he meets Final Fantasy characters like Yuffie, Aerith, and Squall, who was called Leon for some reason, who also lost their will to the darkness, because apparently if you lose your will to the darkness, you could end up in Traverse Town. Or, you know, you could die, either way. Sora encounters Donald and Goofy while clearing out some Heartless, and Donald and Goofy have actually been looking for Sora, as, in a letter by their king, Miska Muska Mickey Mouse, he told them to find the key, and since Sora has a Keyblade, he must be the key the king was referring to. Donald and Goofy have been looking for the king, and Sora agrees to join Donald and Goofy on their quest to find the king, hoping to find Riku and Kairi along the way, as their episodic adventures through the Disney worlds begin. The opening section of the game gives me mixed thoughts. I hate the stuff at Destiny Islands, but I like the stuff at Traverse Town. So really, we're starting off the game with a mixed impression. Before we head into the Disney worlds, let's talk about the gameplay. Kingdom Hearts 1 is an action RPG where you control Sora with his Keyblade as you slay Heartless and explore Disney worlds with Donald and Goofy as AI-controlled companions. The combat is excellent, starting off basic, but as you level up and progress, you get new magic attacks like Fire and Blizzard, you get the ability to summon Disney characters like Simba and Tinkerbell, and you get AP points they can use to improve combos and access special moves like Sonic Blade. While Donald and Goofy's AI aren't the best, you have enough versatility with Sora where that isn't an issue. Unfortunately, the weakest part of the game comes in the exploration and platforming, thanks to the 1-2 punch of the clunky way Sora controls while jumping and the frustratingly designed platforming sections, making these parts the worst in the game. But now that I got my general praises and complaints of the gameplay out of the way, let's go through each Disney World one by one and give them a rating of fun, and never again. But wait, how do we get to these Disney worlds? Through the Gummy Ship, which plays like Star Fox on a budget, and I don't hate it. It's not as good as Star Fox, and Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3 improves on the Gummy Ship gameplay vastly, but it's mild fun and a nice way to break up the gameplay. And at least it's more fun than the frustrating platforming you have to do. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, a Disney World! We start off with Wonderland from Alice in Wonderland. The world is a balance between combat and platforming, though said platforming can be really frustrating, as I mentioned before. Though I really like the story of this world. It's a basic retelling of the source material, but it captures the charm of the Wonderland characters really well. Though some of the platforming sections hamper the fun of Wonderland, so this gets an eh. Olympus Coliseum from Hercules. Probably the smallest world in the game, but one of the best, as it focuses on the best aspect of the game, the combat. And we get some fun interactions with Phil, aka the Danny DeVito character from Hercules. Also, Cloud from Final Fantasy VII is here for the fangirls to swoon over. Also, this world has the most replayability in the game. As you progress through the story, you unlock more tournaments and bosses throughout the game. Unfortunately, one of those bosses is... Begone, Demon! Olympus gets a fun. Deep Jungle from Tarzan blows. You have to go back and forth between the campsite and Tarzan's home like 5 times throughout the world, with very annoying platforming sections in between. Though I like the story as it develops Donald and Goofy along with telling the Disney World story, which not many worlds do. But I'm still gonna give this a never again for how tedious it is to play despite some decent storytelling. We take a detour back to Traverse Town to get a ship upgrade where we find out Riku is alive and is working with the Council of Disney Villains led by Maleficent. I'm gonna give my thoughts on Riku out now, and he's a jerk. He's working with the villains to save Kairi and gives no care about Sora because he thinks that Donald and Goofy have replaced him and Kairi. Except Sora says straight to his face that he befriended Donald and Goofy to help find Riku and Kairi, making Riku look like an idiot and a jerk, who basically abandons his best friend bro because he's going through puberty. Luckily, we get to ignore all that teenage angst and move on to Agrabah from Aladdin. It's a basic level, but it's still quite fun. Something I want to bring up about Agrabah is how fluidly the genie is animated in the cutscenes compared to anything else in the game. Now, there is still some good animation, but at times it does feel like a puppet show. Without Wilkins killing Watkins, of course.
Got your parachute?
I forgot it.
How about the Wilkins coffee?
I forgot that too.
You'll never forget this.
Monstro from Pinocchio has more Riku being a hormonal jerk, but hey, at least the visuals are wacky and you get high jump, which makes platforming a hell of a lot easier. It's another fun world. Atlantica from The Little Mermaid has horrible underwater controls that feel very awkward, a mediocre plot, and shirtless Sora, so never again, Square. I said never again! We follow the worst world of the game with the best world of the game. Halloween Town from The Nightmare Before Christmas has interesting visuals, an original story that fits well with the original film's characters and tone, and barely any bad level design, which makes it a fun world to visit. We end the main Disney worlds with Neverland. We actually don't explore Neverland, but we explore Captain Hook's ship, which is still an enjoyable time with fun flight controls, which is the only good stage-specific gimmick in the game, and we got Captain Frickin' Hook. How can you hate this world? Now I know what you all may be thinking. What about 100 Acre Wood? Well, it's an optional world, and it's way different than other worlds since it's a minigame collection rather than a world where you fight the Heartless. It's fine enough, and Winnie the Pooh is my favorite of the Disney properties in this game, so I'm obligated to love it either way. And now we go to Hollow Bastion, where Maleficent has kidnapped all the Princesses of Heart, which include Kairi, and with all of them at her hands, Maleficent can go access the darkness so she can take it over. But Riku stabs her in the back. Or is it Riku? Riku has been possessed by Ansem, a scientist who studied the Heartless in the titular Kingdom Hearts, and has now become a Heartless himself, and has used Riku's descension into darkness for a new body rather than his previous Mr. McCloak form. After fighting Maleficent in her dragon form, all the princesses are saved, but now we still got Ansem to face, where we do so at the end of the world! The end of the world is a test of everything you learned throughout the game, ending with the final boss battle against Ansem. At the end of the battle, it opens Kingdom Hearts thinking it's darkness, but oops, it's actually light, killing him off until Dream Drop Distance came in and threw 5.5 monkey wrenches into the plot of the series. But, oh no, the doors are closing, and if not closed, the Realm of Darkness will invade the Realm of Light, and we need people on both the Realm of Light and the Realm of Darkness to keep the door shut. Who will do it on the Realm of Darkness? Well, none other than Riku, actually redeeming himself by being on the Realm of Darkness side alongside Mickey Mouse, who closed the door on the Realm of Darkness side, while Sora, Donald, and Goofy do so on the light side. And now everything is hunky-dory. But Pluto has an envelope that the gang chased into a GBA game later remade for the PS2. And that's Kingdom Hearts 1. It has its rough patches mostly at the beginning of the game, but if you could power through them, it's a fun time. Help that the final mix editions for the PS3 and PS4 add more replayability with new bosses and even cutscenes, which help flesh out the story. It's a good start, but other games like Kingdom Hearts 2, Birth by Sleep, and 3 are much more enjoyable, but this ain't bad either for the start of the series. Kingdom Hearts 1 gets a 7 out of 10. Well, I covered the first one. Everyone's gonna ask about the others. I am not looking forward to 358 over 2 days. Yes, that's the actual title of the game. Help. Hey everyone, I'm Bluey, and I've been at business meetings all day to discuss the future of Bluey Corp. Which was basically them saying for an hour and a half, keep doing what you're doing until we get famous. Worst part of it? I got no lunch. I need what's considered the lowest common denominator of fast food known to man. That will do. McDonald's, the company that started off with a novel idea turning into an American staple and punching bag. There have been many movies, skits, books, and so much more made about McDonald's and how unhealthy it is, or how creepy of a mascot Ronald McDonald is. Seriously, can we give clowns a break? Stop killing the clown industry. They're funny. Why are they scary? But to my knowledge, no internet review show has dared enter the realm of food establishments, or I just haven't discovered them. Either way works. So let's head to a McDonald's establishment to see if it's truly horrible. Dad, can you take me to McDonald's? I need to film a video there. So, you walk into the establishment, order some food, pay for your food, wait for your food, receive that food, and finally eat your food. And what food do they have at Macintosh Donald's? Burgers that are way too small, chicken nuggets that are best served with buffalo sauce, and french fries. All of these items that Steak and Shake does better, except for the buffalo dip chicken nuggets. Those are actually really good. But is there anything McDonald's does better than the competition? Well, you get your food quick. That's not really a helpful factor. I would rather wait a long time for a great meal than a quick time for a mediocre meal. McDonald's is alive because their food is cheap to buy and quick to get. I can really only recommend McDonald's if you're on a budget, but for everyone else, there's better fast food options out there. McDonald's final ranking is a mediocre out of Ronald. Now, excuse me, I'm gonna work on real videos rather than videos at fast food establishments for American holidays about being a horrible person. Hey everyone, I'm Bluey, and why is there no Blue Ranger and Power Rangers Battle for the Grid? Are you freaking kidding me, NWay? Good old Power Rangers, having many video games throughout the years. Some being good, some being and some being Power Rangers Zeo Battle Racers for the SNES. With the recent success of the mobile game, Power Rangers Legacy Wars, which is quite enjoyable, the developers of that game, NWay, made a full-fledged console fighting game for $20, which takes elements from the successful Boom Studios comic books. NWay has promised to give updates to the game later on, so today's review will focus on Power Rangers Battle for the Grid at launch, but when the game gets updated, I'll do a follow-up video covering those updates to see if they improve or hinder the experience. With the pre-rambling out of the way, let's review Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. So, what's the story of this Power Rangers fighting game? Well, I'm asking that question too, since I can't find any story in this game. I suppose it's a simplified version of Shattered Grid's narrative, with Ranger Slayer and Lord Draken involved in the main roster. Other than that, the arcade mode gives us barely any story outside of a few character interactions. But hey, as long as the rest of the game is good, I don't mind a lack of story. While the game's graphics aren't the most mind-blowing thing out there, they look decent for a $20 budget title, with lots of colors on the character models and detail in the environments. While the characters don't speak themselves, they show a lot of personality through their character movements, like Super Mega Force Yellow's punkish attitude, and Lord Draken being high-tier evil, loving every second of it. Then we get to the gameplay, which is easily the best part of the game. I mean, gameplay should be the best part of any game, but that's besides the point. You have light, medium, and heavy attacks, which you can chain together for combos, along with a special attack button that works similarly to Smash Bros.'s special attack button, where depending on where you move it, when clicking the special attack button, you'll get a different special attack. You also have the traditional fighting game special moves that you can activate by filling your meter, and there's Megazord specials that you can use once a battle for massive damage. The fighting is really fun and easy to learn for newcomers, but the fighting game veterans can also have an enjoyable time chaining attacks for the highest combos. We unfortunately now have to take a look at the negatives of this game. The selection of modes is very limited, only having arcade, online, and training modes, the bare necessities for any fighting game, and nothing else. Hell, some players can't even access the online because of the PlayStation Plus or Nintendo Online subscriptions, locking online out for most games on their platforms. You know what else is lackluster? The cast of characters in this game. So NWay teased us with an image of 15 character slots when the game was first announced, with 3 DLC fighters coming later. So we at least thought we were all getting 12 characters at launch. We ended up getting 9 characters at launch. I will say, despite the oddball choices like Cat from SPD and Mastodon Sentry, all the characters are really fun to play as, so I'll give them that. My problem with this roster, as I hinted at earlier in this video, is forgetting a Power Ranger staple, the Blue Ranger. Now maybe it's because of my channel username and blue always being my favorite color, but they included Mastodon Sentry and Goldar instead of a Blue Ranger at launch. I think Goldar would be a better DLC choice than a Blue Ranger. After ranting about something small, let me rant about something big in this game, the price tag, which is $20, which I feel is overpricing this game. Not helping is that there's a $15 season pass with the 3 extra DLC characters. At most, this game should be $15, not $20 for 9 characters and 1 single player mode. Doesn't help that other games on the PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo digital stores offer a lot more content than this game for around $20 to $15. Games like Guacamelee, Shovel Knight, Undertale, Cuphead, Celeste, Super Meat Boy, Hollow Knight, and a ton more offer more content in their games at the same and even lesser prices than Battle for the Grid, so there's no excuse for the lack of content for 20 buckaroos for this game in 2019. In conclusion, Power Rangers Battle for the Grid is a good game with tons of flaws that hold it back from a game I'd say to spend your money on right this second. The gameplay is really fun with colorful graphics, but a lack of content is the game's greatest weakness. I hope NWay gives a few free updates to this game with new modes at the very least instead of locking all the post-launch content as DLC. I give Power Rangers Battle for the Grid a 6 out of 10. Now you might think I'm gonna raid NWay's headquarters because they made a game with a lack of content and they didn't include a Blue Ranger. No, I'm civil. I'm very civil. I'm just gonna go to Starbucks and grab some coffee. Actually, no, I don't like Starbucks. There was an idea, a very last minute idea to cash in on Avengers Endgame by reviewing all of the Phase 3 Marvel Universe films leading up to Endgame. Okay, to be perfectly honest, I'm more excited for Detective Pikachu, but Endgame's still hype.
Did you just say Detective Pikachu is more hype than Marvel?
Yes, I did.
And you're doing a Marvel review without me?
Well, you don't make YouTube videos at the moment. Alright, can I just do my video now?
Fine. I will be back, Blue.
Anyway. Hey everyone, I'm Bluey, and with Endgame being 3 frickin' hours long, I am currently training myself not to go to the bathroom for 3 hours. It's been a work in progress, especially since I'm bringing Coke to the movies. I'm screwed. Good old Marvel Studios, making billion-dollar hit after billion-dollar hit. Heck, by the time we're recording this, Captain Marvel just hit $1 billion. Their films are filled with witty dialogue, cool characters, bonkers action, and the legend himself, Stan Lee. May he rest in peace. The big storyline they've been building up to for 11 years will finally come to an end in Avengers: The Endgame, which will also end Phase 3 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or MCU. Today we'll be looking at all the MCU movies in Phase 3. Why not Phase 1 and 2? I don't have time or the money for Phase 1 or 2 right now, so let's just do Phase 3! Captain America Civil War, aka Avengers 2.5 HD Remix Final Chapter Prologue, is a darn good film. Now this is the only time I'm bringing up the comics in these reviews, but the Civil War comics are awful! The comics were made as a commentary of a post-9/11 world, and they failed with unlikable characters, oddly drawn artwork, and a god-awful ending that made Iron Man the biggest douche in the Marvel Universe right before his big motion picture was coming out. I dare say that Civil War 2 was worse, but that's for another day. What about the movie? The characters in the movie have valid and in-character reasons for choosing what side they stand on, with neither side being full-on supervillain. leaving you, the audience member, to decide which side you agree on. The action scenes are good, not great, with a big exception going to the fantastic final battle beatdown with Cap, Bucky, and Iron Man. The film also sets up new characters in Phase 3, like Black Panther and Spider-Man, both of which have great first impressions, and while you can still watch your solo films and enjoy them without seeing this film, the context of this film adds new layers to their solo films. If I have to complain, Baron Zemo just feels thrown in there to set events in motion when Crossbones could have done that, but Crossbones blows up 10 minutes into the movie, so that's kind of the biggest misstep the movie took in my opinion. But it's still a good movie, and a great way to start Phase 3. Doctor Strange is good. The visuals are bonkers, complementing interesting fights, and the side characters like Wong and Mordo are some of my favorite sidekicks in a Marvel movie. I wish I could say the same about Strange's love interest, but she just feels tacked on for the obligatory cinema cliches quota. It's a visually pleasing superhero origin story, nothing more, nothing less, which could affect your enjoyment of the film, but for me, I found it decent. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is a sequel to the 2014 smash hit. Opinions seem to be split on this film, with some saying that it was just as good as the first one, with others saying it fell short. I'm in the camp who loves this movie and thinks that it's just as good as the first one. The character dialogue, emotional moments, and space visuals have been given 5 mega boost here, with a charismatic and messed up villain unlike the first film's disposable punching bag of a villain. It even takes characters who were just kinda there in the first movie like Nebula and makes them more interesting in this one. I'd say this film's one of the best sequels Marvel's done, taking what didn't work about the first film and polishing it into great art, while keeping the great elements from the first film and expanding on it. Spider-Man Homecoming is a great Spider-Man movie. My quick Spider-Man movie background. I've only seen Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man film, which is a great origin story with mixed quality action scenes, and The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which had good ideas, bogged down by having too many ideas to cram into one movie, with most of them being poorly executed. With that said, Spider-Man Homecoming feels like a really good Spider-Man story. Not an origin story, just a fun ride with Spidey. The comedy is well done, the high school characters are some of the most accurate portrayals of high school teens put onto film, and you got Michael Keaton, Batman and founder of McDonald's himself, as the Vulture. What's not to love? On a writing level, I have no issues with Homecoming. But the final battle falls flat as a fight scene. It really only works for a story beat. As a fight scene, it's really boring. But Spider-Man Homecoming is great, and even led Sony to make good Spider-Man projects again, like Venom and Spider-Verse. Yes, I actually like Venom, please don't kill me. The past Thor films were okay, but Thor Ragnarok is amazing. Charismatic characters and bombastic banter portrayed by the best cast of actors in a Marvel movie, including the best villain in the MCU until Thanos and his big chin came along. Vexing visuals of crazy colors complementing awesome action, and a commentary on colonialism that makes me go, how is no one noticing this message? It's kinda obvious. Black Panther is another great movie that deserved all those award nominations big time. Wakanda is such a fun world to immerse yourself in, and I want to go there so bad. Screw Hogwarts and their British magic and pooping on floors. Wakanda forever, baby! The cast is up there with the Ragnarok cast as the best cast in a Marvel movie, the action is fun, and the costume and set designs are really well crafted. Plus, there's great messages for people of all backgrounds in this motion picture about a king using a panther suit to fight off threats to his nation. Black Panther isn't just a good action movie, but a well-made piece of cinema in general. Avengers Infinity War is what 10 years of films led up to, and boy, despite having like 20 plus superhero characters in one movie, each one of them gets a cool moment to shine, whether it be a funny line, an amazing action scene, or an emotional scene that'll make you cry like an anime fan. Okay, who's slipping Mighty Number 9 jokes into my script again? Dave, is that you? Dave, go send the timeout. Anyway, back to the review. The movie really feels like an epic with the scope and scale of the stakes and battles. With each stone Thanos collects, you feel more and more terrified as he becomes closer to his goal of Snapmageddon! And oh boy, the ending is crazy. It leaves you on a cliffhanger that makes you want to go see the next movie, rather than feeling like a cheap tactic to get you to see the next movie. Infinity War was worth the hype, and a great start for the beginning of the end of the MCU Infinity Saga. Ant-Man and the Wasp is good. Nothing groundbreaking, but it's still a fun ride and a good follow-up to the first movie. The characters are still charming, the villain is more interesting and sympathetic, though I actually like the first Ant-Man villain, to be honest. The shrinking tech is used more creatively this time, and the car chases are some of the most fun car chases put onto film. But I only have one question after this film. Will Ant-Man and the Wasp and Rick Moranis be in Phase 4? Who knows? I really like Captain Marvel, if only the opening 10 minutes did suck. Yeah, it wasn't until Carol got captured by the Skrulls and we got the flashbacks to her past that the movie really started to become great. But once you get through that slog of a 10 minutes, there's an awesome movie to be found, with Samuel L. Jackson and Brie Larson having the best friendship of any MCU film, the Skrulls being really charismatic characters, and Goose fighting Relax-A-Lax's cat for my top 10 cats in media list. Unfortunately, the twist villains are kinda boring, but they serve their job decently for Carol's character arc, and while this isn't the film's fault, the marketing kinda sucked, being really boring compared to other Marvel movie marketing campaigns. But I'm really glad the movie turned out to be good and unlike the meh marketing campaign. So that's all the Phase 3 Marvel movies minus Endgame, and they were all really good. While past MCU phases have either had a boring or blah film thrown into the mix, all the Phase 3 movies have been at least good and have made up at least $500 million at the box office, keeping Marvel's place as the king of superhero movies. But DC, with Aquaman and Shazam, are slowly getting pieces of the superhero movie pies. Will DC conquer the cinemas after Endgame? Or will Marvel keep Disney on top? Only time will tell.
Wait! I'm still a pony!
So you are.
What do I do?
Well, many ponies are internet reviewers, and you always want to be one. Hey everyone, I'm Bluey, and it's time to talk about the third most controversial thing to happen to Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog is an upcoming video game movie releasing in 2019 that is probably going to be the punching bag on the internet for a while. The trailer was met with heavy criticism, so much so that the director is promising changes to Sonic's design in the movie. And that design tweak is what we're talking about today, mainly how it could affect the movie's staff. Now, if they would have to start tweaking the design now, they would only have around 5 to 7 months to completely change the design and reanimate him for the final film, which would require more hours from the CG artists and animators, which means crunch time. A word I have grown to hate over the last 6 months, with the video game industry giving extreme crunch hours to its employees. The crunch time has resulted in 80 to 100-hour work weeks and mental breakdowns for the employees, and I would hate to have this happen to the people working on the Sonic movie or any media project, as sometimes we forget that even if a movie feels like it's made by a committee, there's still many people sinking man-hours and effort into these projects. What doesn't help this case is that they could have started tweaking the Sonic design a lot earlier, as a poster that came out last year showing Sonic's character silhouette received negative reaction, much like the trailer, so they could have at least given the CG artist a bit more time to start designing the new model. Hell, I think it could have been avoided even earlier, as Sega themselves didn't like the design when the filmmakers showed it off to them. Honestly, the worst part is that changing the design won't fix the movie on a writing level. It's just gonna be the same story and jokes the filmmakers made unless rewrites and reshoots take place. So, to Paramount Pictures and the crew making the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, please delay the movie for a couple months to not stress out the CG artist, or just don't give them extreme crunch time. I don't care if it ends up a good or bad movie, just don't stress out the talented CGI artists who don't get enough credit in the industry. To end this video on a happier note, I'll give you my hot take opinion on the trailer itself, and it was weird. Not good or bad, just odd. I didn't mind Sonic's design himself, even though it's not ideal, but there were many times throughout the trailer where he didn't look very convincing with the human characters, like he was photoshopped or green screened in. Since the movie is still in post-production, I hope that gets ironed out and he'll be more convincing in future trailers and the movie itself. Jim Carrey as Eggman looks fun, but the rest of the human characters look like typical Hollywood character stereotypes, like the main guy and the love interest woman. So overall, it needs more polish in the special effects department, but it looks like a typical movie with nothing horribly offensive about it. To recap, for those who skipped to the end, Dave, the Sonic movie looks okay, Paramount should not enforce crunch time on the CG artists just because people don't like their art, and they should have used Amish Paradise because Weird Al is objectively better than anything in media. Hey everyone, I'm Bluey, and it's time to jump back into Kingdom Hearts, aka Nomura's crazy Final Fantasy story with Disney characters. The second Kingdom Hearts game wasn't Kingdom Hearts 2, but Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories for the Game Boy Advance, remade into Kingdom Hearts Re-Chain of Memories for the PS2, which is included in the recent HD Remix collections. I will mention the Game Boy Advance version here and there, but for today's review we're covering the remake. So build up your deck, trust in the heart of the cards, and prepare for some complex anime shenanigans as we head into Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. The story of Chain of Memories follows Sora, Donald, and Goofy after Kingdom Hearts 1 as they find Castle Oblivion, the main location of the game. The gang head in there and explore the establishment, but they start to lose their memories and powers thanks to the mysterious Organization 13. evil people in black hoods who own the place and are important to the story of the next game. Despite being called Organization 13, only 4 members appear in this game, at least in Sora's story. We'll get back to the other story in a minute. We got Axel, the flamboyant redhead, who wants you to have it memorized. Okay, I do. Larxie, the evil girl, Vexen, the scientist, and Marluxia, the final boss of the game, who has a rose scythe that I really want to hang on my wall. The organization are mind-screwing with Sora thanks to a mysterious girl they kidnapped called NWay, who has the power to mess with people's memories. So Sora has to fight off the organization, save NWay, and deal with him getting mind-screwed with a replica Riku being thrown in there for some reason. The story of Chain of Memories is good, putting Sora through an emotional journey with the organization members in the game having distinctive personalities with fun dialogue. Although, I think this story could have been condensed and be used as the opening section for Kingdom Hearts 2, rather than the true opening section we did get for Kingdom Hearts 2, which we'll get to it, believe me. But wait, there's a second story to this game. After you beat Sora's campaign, which has him defeat Larxene, Vexen, and Marluxia, with NWay putting the gang into sleep pods for a year to regain their memories at the expense of the new memories they gained during this game, leading into Kingdom Hearts 2, you unlock a new story called Kingdom Hearts Reverse Rebirth, which has you playing as the worst character from the first game, Riku. He and King Mickey find themselves in Castle Oblivion, where they try to fight off 2 other organization members, Zexion and Lexius, as Riku tries to control the darkness with him, a struggle that continues through the end of Kingdom Hearts 2. Throughout the campaign, Riku encounters Diz, who is important in the next game, but he helps Riku defeat Ansem, who is inside of Riku's heart after Kingdom Hearts 1's events. The end of the campaign has Riku and Mickey setting off on a journey to spy on the Organization 13, which we will see in Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days. Reverse Rebirth's plot works to redeem Riku from his jerkish behavior of the first game, and it is effective, but the rest of the plot is just set up for the next game, rather than telling its own story. I know Riku redeeming himself is supposed to be the story, but that arc isn't even completed yet, so it's just set up for more games. Now you may be asking, what about the Disney worlds in this plot? Well, they're nearly pointless to the story, just being there for levels. All the Disney worlds of this game are from the first game, and they tell the same story because they're pulled from Sora's memory, so what's the point of them besides brand consistency? This and the new gameplay styles makes Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories very much like a spin-off title, despite the story mattering to the series overall. This will be a problem in other Kingdom Hearts games, but we'll get to them when the time is right. And by time is right, I mean review them. The gameplay of Chain of Memories is what turns most people off from this game. Now, instead of traditional Kingdom Hearts gameplay, we have a card-based battle system. The way the card-based battle system works is that you'll find Heartless, and once you run into them, you'll engage in a battle with your card deck. You can customize your deck with different kinds of cards, letting you use Keyblades, Magic, Summons, Potions, or Ethers. Now, this would be fine if it was a turn-based battle system, but you're using your attacks in real time while working to avoid enemy attacks with their own cards. The cards also have a number value to them, which if you play a higher number value than the enemy's current cards, or you use a 0, you can do a card break, which stuns the enemy for a bit. You can also stack your cards for higher number values, but if you stack specific cards, you can activate special moves. The gameplay is why most of the non-Kingdom Hearts fans classify this game as a spin-off upon first glance, because the gameplay itself is very spin-offy. The gameplay is not ideal, and I would rather have a turn-based version of the system to make it more fun, but this is okay. I like setting up a card deck to use in battle, and it is fun using special moves to mop the floor of enemies and bosses, but it generally feels awkward having a halfway between traditional Kingdom Hearts gameplay and this card deck system. It can be fun to play, but it should have just been a turn-based RPG or traditional Kingdom Hearts gameplay, instead of this weird hybrid that we have between the two. The worlds themselves are just randomly generated rooms depending on which cards you use. Really the only difference between world to world is the aesthetics of the world. The graphics of Chain of Memories are fine on PS2 with way better animations than the first game, but I like the GBA version more, not in the way it plays. In fact, I think it plays worse than the PS2 version, but the sprite quality has this really cool charm to it despite no voice acting being included. Well, this was a messy review, but let's get to the verdict. Is Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories a good game to add to the Kingdom Hearts series? Well, I like the story, and while the gameplay isn't an atrocity, it is a weird and uncomfortable way to play a Kingdom Hearts game, so I'll have to give Chain of Memories a 5 out of 10. I really can only recommend this game to people who want to play every Kingdom Hearts game, or to the rare breed who actually like the card-based battle system. If you really need to know the story, just be that guy and look up the YouTube cutscenes. Ah, dang it, I didn't have a controversial opinion to piss off Kingdom Hearts fans. Dick Vitale's Awesome Baby Colored Troops is the best Kingdom Hearts game. There, I said it.
Awesome, baby!
Hey everyone, I'm Bluey, and E3 2019 is coming up, and so is mass hysteria, since Netflix is going to be at E3 but not Sony. Anyway, before the world ends, let's talk about some predictions, wishes, and other stuff about E3 2019 before E3 2019 happens. EA, everyone's favorite terrible video game company. We already know about the annual sports games coming out this year, and if they don't come out this year, then cows will start flying. But the big game they're showing off this year is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which I've discussed in a Blue short. And to make the long story short for the short, it looks good, but EA always finds a way to screw the pooches over. Overall, I'm interested in what EA is going to do this year, but for the wrong reasons, as after the Anthem disaster, EA is one crunch time session away from killing its trust with gamers everywhere. Square Enix, a company that I love and hate at the same time. You see, I wasn't sure what Square was going to show off since Kingdom Hearts 3 already came out, but during May, we got a re-announcement for the Final Fantasy VII Remake, and it's time for some changing opinions. I made a video in 2018 saying I wouldn't buy the Final Fantasy VII Remake because of Square Enix making bad business decisions about the game, like firing CyberConnect 2 and deleting all their work, who developed the excellent .hack games. But the footage shown at the State of Play looks really fun, and that really hurts me to say, because all the behind the scenes have been a mess, but a fun game is a fun game. Okay Square, just give me Red 13 as a playable character and I'll buy the game. Other than that, Square looks to have a small but quality showing this E3. I mean, it has to be better than last year's conference where they showed stuff that was already shown at the Microsoft conference. Hope that doesn't happen again. Ubisoft isn't skipping E3, but they are skipping Assassin's Creed this year. Other than that, big hitters they've got coming up are Skull and Bones, a pirate game that's gotten delayed multiple times, which happens a lot in this industry. We do have the highly anticipated Beyond Good and Evil 2, which has been conflicted. On one hand, the aesthetics of the game look good, but on the other hand, they turned the single-player adventure of the original into another big open-world game, which Ubisoft and the gaming industry as a whole made into an oversaturated market. Open world games can be fun, but there's just too many. I would rather the game be a single player experience, but the game is already far down the production pipeline as an open world game. May as well just hope that it's a good open world game than what we could have gotten. As for stuff I want Ubisoft to do this year for E3, I hope we get another Nintendo collaboration, like the Mario plus Rabbids game or the Starlink and Star Fox crossover, but can we please get a new Rayman game? I don't care if it's 2D, 3D, just throw Rayman on something that isn't a re-release of Legends. We don't know what to fully expect from Ubisoft, but knowing them, they're probably gonna have some wacky dancing at the beginning to promote Just Dance, which still comes out on Wii for some godforsaken reason. Bethesda went from one of my favorite developers to a mediocre one in the span of a year, thanks to the whole Fallout 76 debacle and the blah Elder Scrolls Blades, which were two big games they were pushing last year. So Bethesda needs a game to redeem itself with, and Doom Eternal might be that game, because Doom is tons of fun, and Eternal looks to be upping the ante to 11. Other than that, they really have nothing else signed up for this year outside of updates to existing games like Elder Scrolls Online. But I'm hoping for a Fallout 3 remaster, preferably coming to Switch, and something new that isn't as ambitious as Elder Scrolls 6 that would preferably launch next year. So, place your bets in the comments down below. Will Bethesda redeem themselves, or will they join Ubisoft in being mediocre developers that produce the occasional gem? Find out in about a year. Ah, Microsoft. They're better at making computers than games. With Crackdown 3 being horribly handled both on the game and the release front, and nearly all of their games being on powerful Windows computers, the next Xbox console needs to prove itself with exclusives and good games, but we're still stuck with the Xbox One for a while. We don't know much about Halo Infinite, and Gears of War 5 just looks like more Gears of War, but maybe we'll see some new games from their recently acquired studios like Ninja Theory and Undead Labs. Microsoft has been having good shows at E3 despite the lack of exclusives with them, but they're promising their biggest show yet. And now, with recent news that they're partnering with Sony, well, this is going to be an interesting E3 for Microsoft to say the least.
It's time for the moment you've been waiting for!
I love Nintendo, and their second half of 2019 looks amazing. Mario Maker 2, Marvel Alliance 3, Fire Emblem 3 Houses, Astral Chain, Luigi's Mansion, Animal Crossing, Pokemon Sword and Shield, and that's just stuff we already know about. They usually reveal at least one big game at E3. Now, since I love Nintendo so much, I'm gonna predict all the big announcements they're gonna make this E3, so let's go. We're gonna get the Challenger Pack 2 for Smash Ultimate, new Pokemon Sword and Shield trailer with a release date, a big third-party title coming to the Switch, and a big holiday game announcement. But out of all my wishes that I want to come true, I really want to see what Retro Studios has been working on since 2014's Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Are they working on the infamous Star Fox Racing? I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. So those are my predictions, wishes, and all sorts of thoughts on E3 2019 before E3 2019 happens. Stay tuned for my coverages of the conferences themselves, and let's take a look back at an infamous E3 moment. Hey everyone, I'm Bluey, and I've arrived at E3 2019. Actually, to be accurate, I've arrived at a PNG of E3 2019. Which is ended, so this illusion doesn't work. Let's just talk about E3 2019. This year's E3 felt like a 30-70 grab bag of goods and bads. When you got a good, it was really good. And when you got a bad, it was a dinosaur taking a poop. EA was pure trash to the surprise of no one, and before you ask me my opinions on the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order gameplay, I'll talk about that in a future video that may or may not come out before the game comes out. Bethesda and Ubisoft were mostly bad, but had shining lights like Ghostwire Tokyo and Watch Dogs you could play as a grandma in this one. Microsoft and Square Enix were good, but not great, especially flopping with the Project Scarlet and Avengers reveals, and Nintendo had one of their best directs ever. I don't think this year's E3 was the worst, but it could have been way better. But today we're talking about the highlights for me this E3. It could be a great announcement or a big yikes moment, which I know isn't a highlight to some, but I think falling flat on your face with others laughing makes it a highlight for somebody, so I'm going to say noticeably bad moments can count as a highlight. Let me give a couple honorable mentions before we start the highlights. The Square Enix Avengers game. I will be discussing this game at a later date, much like Jedi Fallen Order, because oh boy, I have a lot to say about this. Keanu Reeves in Cyberpunk 2077 and Ikumi Nakamura presenting Ghostwire Tokyo, which were both amazing moments, but I think everyone has talked about how great those moments are to death, so what's the point of me talking about it now? With all those honorable highlights out of the way, let's talk about the highlights and the highlights of E3 2019. Number 5. The Project Scarlet reveal and the Halo Infinite trailer. Well, these are two very different announcements. They go hand in hand with each other, so I'm double billing this entry. Microsoft finally revealed the next Xbox console after the Xbox One, codenamed Project Scarlet. The trailer just showed a bunch of people blabbing about how powerful the console is, without showing the console itself or giving any specific details, just vague business buzzwords. Luckily, Microsoft had the decency not to end with lackluster hardware reveal. They ended with Halo Infinite, releasing with Project Scarlet at launch, which is already a major improvement over the entire Xbox One launch lineup. I'm not a big Halo guy, despite Red vs. Blue being one of my favorite shows ever, but man, this trailer was well done. I might go back and play the other Halo games. I have them, just haven't played them. Ain't I a hoarder? Number 4. The Fallout, yeah! It's Fallout 70, yeah! I was talking about Fallout 70, woohoo! It's Fallout 76, yeah! This entry falls into you fell flat on your face and everyone laughed version of a highlight. Fallout 76 was a giant mess of a game that isn't just a bad game, but a huge PR disaster for Bethesda. With fake nylon bags and leaking out customer credit card information, they needed to really pull it around with the game at E3 and apologize for all the shenanigans going on. Well, Todd Howard made a joke. He didn't apologize, he just made a sly joke about the game being a mess. Yeah, that was a fail. But that's not all the vomit Bethesda felt like sharing. Guess what? Fallout 76 is getting a Battle Royale mode. I know it's called Nuclear Winter, but it's basically a Battle Royale mode. I'm telling you, people were making jokes before this conference even started about how there would be a Fallout 76 Battle Royale mode. And it actually happened. What the hell? What's going on, man? Help me. We live in the Matrix, man. It's all a conspiracy. We're Bethesda. We're Bethesda. In a nutshell, Fallout 76 is still a laughingstock, and Bethesda's audience members were, get this, paid in bottle caps. Number 3. That game I said I wasn't gonna buy, but I'm now reconsidering. Square Enix started their show off with a bang with the Final Fantasy VII Remake, which got a hefty showing of gameplay and cutscenes, and a release date of March 3rd, 2020, the 3rd anniversary of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. That's not a joke or anything, just found that very interesting. The game is going to be on 2 discs, but this is only part 1 of an entire series of Final Fantasy VII Remake games, with the rest to be released at a later date. Watch us wait another 5 years just for episode 2. I am still very against splitting Final Fantasy VII's remake into multiple games, but I think if it's done well and each game feels like a complete experience, coupled that with the amazing looking combat system, we might have a winner on our hands. Still hate that we have to pay $60 for each episode, but hey, if they feel like complete experiences that are worth $60, I'll buy them. I'm having serious mood whiplash with this game. I've gone from the old man saying get off my lawn to drinking the Kool-Aid. I really hope drinking the Kool-Aid doesn't make me look like a doof like those Fallout 76 drinkers. Number 2. 2 games I really want to talk about, but I really didn't have anywhere else to put them, so here they are. First up, Outer Worlds, developed by Obsidian, who are the guys behind Fallout 1, 2, and New Vegas. The game looks like a combination of Fallout and Borderlands, which are 2 games I've played little bits and pieces of, but highly enjoyed what I've played. Excited to pick this one up, though the graphics still have that Bethesda puppet stench to them. And then we have my most anticipated game of the year next up, Pokemon Doom Eternal, which looks even better than the first one. We're going to hell on earth, we're even going to heaven to fight off demons. Man, this game looks bonkers and I love it! This has been 2 games I'm excited for but couldn't really fit elsewhere into the video. And my number 1 highlight of E3 is Nintendo's entire presentation because I'm just that predictable. The Smash DLC announcements of the Dragon Quest Heroes and Banjo-Kazooie were great. Though I wish the hero wasn't leaked ahead of time, as that took a ton of impact away from the reveal. There was a ton of promising third-party stuff like Dark Crystal Tactics, Witcher 3, Spyro, Super Lucky's Tale, Panzer Dragoon is coming back, and my favorite reveal trailer shown off, No More Heroes 3. I haven't even played No More Heroes, but seeing Travis Touchdown saying Henshin and transforming into a Tokusatsu hero is just... it's too awesome to describe. That's not even mentioning the Nintendo first-party stuff, like the cartoon spooks of Luigi's Mansion 3, the relaxing vibes of Animal Crossing New Horizons, the fast-paced action combat of Marvel Alliance 3, or the crazy visuals and attacks of Astral Chain. There was something for all fans of Nintendo. Though there were 2 weak points of the conference, Fire Emblem 3 Houses and the Resident Evil 5 and 6 ports. They didn't show much gameplay of Fire Emblem, even though it comes out next month, and out of all the Resident Evil ports to hype up at E3, why 5 and 6, which are considered to be the worst in the series? And then we end on Death to My Wallet, as The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is getting a sequel. I find it funny, in an E3 where everyone had an okay or terrible showing, Nintendo not only was great, but had one of their best showings ever. And with that, we conclude my E3 2019 highlights video. This E3 wasn't the greatest out there, but I don't think it was the worst, especially with some crazy announcements like Keanu Reeves in Cyberpunk 2077, Banjo and Smash Brothers, Bethesda and Hot Garbage, and of course, the craziest E3 announcement I'm about to make. Bluey Season 1 is over, see you in Season 2!